Hi, today I'm going to be talking to you about hosting office hours on Zoom and some best practices for those office hours. This presentation is sponsored by the Faculty Development Center and Online and Education and Training Center. The topics that I'm going to cover in this video are best practices for office hours, tips for hosting them, and how to schedule recurring office hours in Zoom. First, let's talk about some best practices for office hours. These are small things that you can enable to make your office hours even better for you and your students. The first thing that I like to do is to set the settings play a sound when someone joins or leaves. This way, I can keep my Zoom office hours open, I can mute my microphone and turn off my camera, and get some work done if I need to while I wait for students to arrive. Let's see how we do this in Zoom. Once you're in your Zoom session, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen you'll have some options as the host. What we'll want to do is click on the Participants option. Once that opens, we'll see at the bottom Invite, Mute All, and 3 dots. These 3 dots in the bottom right corner are extra options that we want to enable. I'll go ahead and open this. You'll notice I might have some other things clicked already, but what I'm looking for is play sound when someone joins or leaves. I'll go ahead and click this now. Once it's clicked, if someone joins, it will make a noise. For example, a little ding. Now that we've talked about how to set up the play a sound when someone joins, let's talk about something else. If you're explaining a complex topic or demonstrating a skill virtually, you might want to ask students if they would like a recording so that they can review that material later. You can set this in Zoom during your session, and then you can provide a link to the students in your account. Let's see how this is done in the meetings on Zoom. If we go back to our meetings, we'll go ahead and close the Participants tab. This time, we're going to want to click Record. It'll give you 2 options, record on this computer or record to the cloud. We'll want to go ahead and record to the cloud. That way we can easily provide an access link to students. Once you're recording, you'll notice at the top left a little recording cloud, a pause and stop button, and also down at the bottom, the recording area will have changed to pause and stop. Once you stop the recording, it will prompt you and ask if you're sure you want to stop, and you'll click yes. Once you end your meeting, that recording will be available to you in your account. To access your recording, you'll go into your account and log in. On the left-hand menu, you can see the option Recordings in the center. If you click on this, you'll be able to see all of your cloud recordings. This is where your student's recording will be. You can click on the name, and it will open up some more options. You can edit the name and add a date and time, or even the student's name. You can change the title of the video by clicking the pencil and typing it in and clicking Save. You can click the shareable link for that video, or you can also click this little share button here. You'll want to make sure that you have a password or you disable the password so that students can access their recording. You might want to also set it to only authenticated users. That way the student has to log in order to view it. Once you're ready, you'll go ahead and click the Copy Sharing Information. Once you've clicked this, you'll be able to share it with your students in an email. That way, students can watch the recording later on. Something else you can do during your Zoom office hours is set the Zoom waiting room. This way, if you're talking to a student and another student joins your office hours, they won't be interrupting that student. This is especially important if you're talking about sensitive information such as grades or a problem that student may be having. Once a student is in the waiting room, you can also message them from the chat to let them know that you see them in the waiting room and will be with them shortly. Let's see how we do this in Zoom. Once you're back in your Zoom session, at the bottom of the screen, you'll click Participants again. We'll go back to the 3 little dots, the extra menu at the bottom right-hand corner. I'll click it again. I can click Enable Waiting Room. Once your waiting room is enabled and someone joins, they'll appear in your Participants tab under a little subcategory of Waiting Room. To admit the student, you can highlight their name and click Admit. Or you can click Message, which will open the chat and put everyone in waiting room, and you can send a message. That message will be sent to them. It's important to note that the chat is a one-way communication system. People in the waiting room cannot respond to you. If you need a reply from someone in the waiting room, I would recommend that you ask them to send you a quick email. If you're using the waiting room, something else that I like to do is personalize my waiting room. I'd like the students to have a message when they enter my Zoom session. The personalized waiting room will allow me to set a brief message and a short description, as well as include an image. The personalized Zoom waiting room is really nice for students because that way they know they're in the right place at the right time. Once you're logged into your Zoom account, on the left-hand side, you'll want to select Settings. You'll want to make sure that you're in the Meeting tab, and then the third option is going to be Waiting Room Options. Select the button that says Customize Waiting Room. Once you click this link, a pop-up will open. Here you can add a brief message, you can add a picture, and you can add more detailed information about your office hours and expectations. You'll notice that you can't change your meeting topic. This will be auto-generated by Zoom. Once you have it set, students will see that message whenever they enter your waiting room. Now that we've talked about some best practices for your office hours, let's talk about how to set up recurring office hours on your Zoom account. First, you're going to log in to your Zoom account and go to Meetings. On the right-hand side, you'll see a button that says Schedule a Meeting. Next, you'll want to title the meeting. I like to put Office Hours and my name. Next, you'll want to select the first date of your office hour, then the duration. And finally, underneath, it will say Recurring Meeting. You'll want to make sure you click this box. It will open some extra options for you. This way you can decide if you want this to be weekly, bi-weekly, or which days of the week you'd like it to occur. Then you can select the end date. Next, you can enable the waiting room automatically. You can allow students to enter with their video and audio on or off. And you can set it so that only authenticated users can join. Once you're finished, you'll click Save. Let's see what this looks like in context on our Zoom account. Once you're logged into your Zoom account, you want to make sure you're in the Meetings area. You'll notice on the right-hand side, it will say Schedule a Meeting. Here you can type in the title and a description. You can select the first date of your meeting. For example, if I have office hours on Thursdays from 2 to 4 p.m., I'll set 2 p.m. on Thursday as my first occurrence, and I'll set the duration for 2 hours. Next, you can change the time zone if needed. Next, you want to make sure that you click the box Recurring Meeting. You want to make sure that the recurrence is set to weekly, and then it repeats once every week. Next, you can see in the Occurs On area that you can set this up for different days of the week. Note that your office hours need to be at the same time on both days for it to work. If you have office hours on a different day and a different time, you'll need to make a separate Zoom session for that. Now, if I have office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m., I can click Tuesday and Thursday because they're at the same time. Next, I'm going to want to click my end date. I'll click on the calendar and I'll select the end of the term. Next, you have some security questions that you can choose from. I like to make sure that my waiting room is enabled and then I have authenticated users only. Next, you can decide if participants, the student, has their video and audio on. This can sometimes be helpful for students who struggle with technology and how to unmute themselves. Next, you can set some meeting options if you would like. Finally, you'll go ahead and click Save. Once you've saved, you'll notice that it lists all of the options that you've selected and it has your invitation link. This is the link you'll want to provide your students for your office hours. I would recommend posting this on your syllabus as well as your course page. Additionally, I'd like to point out that there's a small button here that says Show All Occurrences. You can click this link and it will open all of your meetings. You can click Show More at the bottom of the list and it will show every date of all of your meetings. You may want to delete some sessions that happen when the campus is closed. For example, this is the week of spring break. I'll go ahead and delete these office hours by clicking delete next to the date and time of the session. This way, my office hours will be closed on those 2 days and not listed for students. Finally, if you'd like a background for your office hours, I would encourage you to visit brand.fullerton.edu so you can get some nice Cal State Fullerton backgrounds for your Zoom office hours. Thank you so much. This has been presented to you by the FSS in cooperation with the FTC and OET here at Cal State Fullerton. Have a wonderful day.